The chandeliers of Skyline 52 dripped gold onto marble floors. Candle flames danced in crystal holders. Soft jazz hummed beneath the murmur of wealth and power. Lily Anderson moved between tables like a ghost, her smile practiced, her posture perfect. At 26, she had mastered the art of being invisible while being watched. She carried a bottle of Barolo toward the corner table where he sat alone. Ethan Cross, the billionaire CEO who came every Friday night. Storm gray eyes that never stopped calculating. A suit cut so sharp it could draw blood. He sat with his back to the wall, always watching the exits. She poured the wine with steady hands, but something caught her eye. The glass already on his table, filled by another server, shimmered wrong. Two dark, tiny bubbles clinging to the surface like whispered warnings. Her gaze snapped across the room. The junior waiter stood half hidden near the service station, jaw tight, shoulders hunched. His eyes darted toward Ethan's table with the sharp focus of someone waiting for something to happen. Lily's heart slammed against her ribs. Ethan's fingers wrapped around the stem of the poisoned glass. She leaned close, her voice barely a breath against his ear. "Don't drink that." His eyes locked onto hers, sharp, questioning, dangerous. For one suspended heartbeat, the world held its breath. Then he set the glass down. Two men in dark suits materialized from nearby tables. One lifted the glass. The other pulled a chemical strip from his pocket. Within seconds, the strip darkened with vivid discoloration. Poison. Security intercepted the junior waiter before he reached the kitchen. The scene unfolded with such quiet efficiency that most guests thought it was a minor staff issue. But Lily knew better. She had just saved the life of the most dangerous man in Chicago. Ethan leaned back in his chair, his storm gray eyes never leaving her face. He studied her like she was a puzzle he intended to solve. He did not thank her. He only watched. And in that silence, Lily felt her ordinary life begin to unravel. Within the hour, the story leaked. Media vans circled the building like sharks. Lily found herself guided firmly toward the back exit by security. A polished black SUV pulled up, armored and gleaming. Ethan's voice cut through the chaos. "You're a witness now, and you're not safe here." She climbed into the vehicle, her hands trembling. The city lights streaked across tinted windows as they left the chaos behind. Inside the SUV, Ethan's chief of staff, Sofia Delgado, turned to her with cold precision. "Name Lily Anderson. Age 26. Family." Lily swallowed hard. "Just my younger sister, Hannah. She's 19. I support us." Ethan's gaze flickered toward her. Something shifted in his expression, barely visible. Sophia continued making notes. "The media has the story. We have 30 minutes before it breaks nationally." The SUV descended into a private underground garage. Steel doors closed behind them. Lily felt the ordinary world disappear. Ethan finally addressed her directly. "You notice what no one else did. Why?" "I studied behavioral psychology," she said quietly. "I never finished my degree, but I know micro-expressions." That man looked guilty. "He was waiting for you to drink." His eyes narrowed, measuring her words. "That instinct saved my life tonight. Which means you're not just a witness." He leaned closer. "You're a liability to whoever sent him." Her pulse spiked. "They'll want to silence you," he said calmly. "So until I know who tried to poison me, you won't return to your apartment. You won't speak to anyone outside my circle." "I need to call my sister," Lily said, panic rising. She worried. "You'll call her from a secure line. She'll believe you're staying overnight with a coworker. Nothing more." His control was absolute. His authority undeniable. But beneath it, Lily sensed something unexpected. He was protecting her. She was no longer a waitress struggling to survive. She was the woman who whispered the words. That saved Ethan Cross. And that single act had thrust her into a world she could neither escape nor comprehend. The penthouse overlooked Chicago, like a throne overlooking a kingdom. Floor 2 ceiling windows framed the glittering skyline. Everything gleamed with precision and wealth. Lily stood in the center of the living room, still wearing her black apron, feeling like an intruder in a museum. Ethan poured himself a drink at the bar, his movements controlled and deliberate. "Why did you know?" He asked without turning around. Why did you see what my trained security missed? Because I pay attention to people, Lily said. Not just what they do, but how they do it. The tension in his shoulders, the way he held his breath when you reached for the glass. People reveal more than they think. He turned to face her, glass in hand. You whispered 3 words and altered everything. His voice was low, almost dangerous. Do you realize what that makes you? A problem, she said quietly. An asset. He took a slow sip. Someone willing to kill me in public means they're desperate. Or arrogant. Either way, you've made yourself a target by interfering. Her throat tightened. I should be afraid of you. You should be afraid of them. He crossed the room, stopping just close enough that she could smell his cologne, cedar, and smoke. I don't let people close to me, Miss Anderson. Ever. But you've forced my hand. Until I know who's behind this, you stay here. Under my protection? I have a life, she said, her voice cracking. A sister who depends on me. Bills, responsibilities. Your sister will be watched. Your bills will be paid. And your life as you knew it is over. His words hit like a slap. You don't get to decide that. I already have. The next 3 days blurred together. Lily was given a guest room larger than her entire apartment. She called Hannah from Ethan's secure line, lying about a coworker's emergency, hating every word. Sophia brought her clothes that fit perfectly, as if they had already measured her. She was a prisoner in a gilded cage. On the 4th night, she found Ethan in his study, surrounded by screens displaying security footage, financial reports, and profiles of potential suspects. You can't keep me here forever, she said from the doorway. He glanced up, exhaustion flickering across his face before the mask returned. I can keep you alive. At what cost? He stood, closing the distance between them. You saved my life with a whisper. Do you think I take that lightly? Do you think I trust Isili? His voice dropped. I've spent 15 years building walls no one can breach. And you walked through them in 3 seconds. The air between them crackled with something dangerous. I didn't ask for this, she whispered. Neither did I. His hand lifted, hesitating near her face before falling away. The moment shattered when Sophia burst through the door, her expression grim. We found him. The waiter, dead. Apparent suicide. But the evidence says otherwise. Lily's blood turned cold. They're cleaning up loose ends, Ethan said quietly. He turned to Lily, his storm-gray eyes dark with something she couldn't name. You were right to be afraid. The next morning, Lily woke to find a file on her nightstand. Inside were photos, documents, transcripts. The waiter had a daughter. Medical debt. Someone had offered him money to poison Ethan, enough to save his child. And now he was dead. Lily's hands shook as she read. This wasn't just about corporate rivalry. This was about desperation and manipulation. She found Ethan on the terrace, the wind whipping his hair. He had a daughter, she said. Someone used his desperation against him. They always do. Now she's alone. Ethan's jaw tightened. I've already set up a trust fund. She'll be taken care of. Lily stared at him, seeing past the billionaire armor to the man beneath. You're not the monster they say you are. Don't mistake pragmatism for kindness. Then why protect me? Why care about his daughter? He turned to face her, and for the first time, she saw raw emotion in his eyes. Because 15 years ago, someone saved my life. A stranger who had no reason to care. And I've spent every day since trying to be worthy of that mercy. The confession hung between them like a tightrope. Who was it? I never found out. Lily stepped closer, her heart pounding. Maybe that's why you can't let me go. Maybe I remind you of them? Maybe you remind me that not everyone is looking to take something from me? His hand finally touched her face, his thumb brushing her cheek with unbearable gentleness. The kiss happened like a storm breaking, sudden and inevitable. His mouth on hers, desperate and searching, her hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Ethan's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. His expression went cold. What is it? Lily asked. He showed her the message. "We have your sister." Lily's world collapsed. The phone clattered from Lily's hands onto the marble floor. Hannah. Her sister's name tore from her throat like a prayer and a scream. Ethan caught her before her knees buckled, his grip firm but not painful. "Look at me," he commanded. "Look at me, Lily." She forced her eyes to his, drowning in panic. "They won't hurt her. Not yet. She's leverage. That means we have time." "Time for what?" Her voice broke. "They have my sister because of me. Because I saved you." His jaw clenched. "They have your sister because someone wants me vulnerable. And they're about to learn what happens when they threaten what's mine." The possessiveness in his voice should have frightened her. Instead, it steadied her. Sophia appeared in the doorway, phone pressed to her ear, already coordinating. Trace came back. The message was sent from a burner, but it pinged off a tower near the docks. "I've got teams mobilizing." Ethan's expression turned lethal. "No teams. If they see an army coming, they'll panic. This requires precision." He turned to Lily. "I need you to think. Has Hannah mentioned anyone strange? Any new friends? Anyone following her?" Lily's mind raced through their last conversations. Hannah complaining about classes, money worries. Then something clicked. She said someone offered her money. A few weeks ago. To answer questions about me. She thought it was weird but harmless. Market research or something? Ethan's eyes darkened. "They've been watching you. Long before the restaurant." The realization hit like ice water. "This wasn't about you at all," Lily whispered. "I was the target." "You were just the trap." Sophia's phone buzzed again. She read the message, her face paling. "They're demanding a trade." "Lily for Hannah, midnight, Pier 7. "Absolutely not," Ethan said immediately. "It's the only way," Lily said, her voice steadying with terrible resolve. "If I don't go, they'll kill her. If you do go, they'll kill you both." "Then what do you suggest?" Ethan moved to the wall of windows, his mind working like clockwork. "We give them what they want, but on our terms." 3 hours later, Lily stood in a warehouse 2 blocks from Pier 7, wearing a wire so small it was invisible. Ethan's security team surrounded the perimeter ghosts in the shadows. Ethan stood in front of her, checking the wire one last time. "You don't have to do this," he said quietly. "Yes, I do." His hand cupped her face, tilting her chin up. "When this is over, I'm taking you somewhere far from here. Somewhere safe. And I'm going to find out why someone wants you dead badly enough to orchestrate all of this. Maybe they just wanted to hurt you." "No," his thumb traced her jaw. "This is about you. I can feel it." The kiss was brief, but searing, a promise and a plea. "Come back to me," he whispered against her lips. At midnight, Lily walked onto Pier 7 alone. The wind off Lake Michigan cut like knives. Shipping containers loomed like sleeping giants. A figure emerged from the shadows. Not a stranger. Marcus Reed, Ethan's business partner. The man she'd seen at Skyline 52 a dozen times. Always laughing, always charming. Betrayal hit harder than fear. "Marcus." He smiled, but it was hollow. "Hello, Lily. I wish it hadn't come to this. Where's my sister?" "Safe. For now." He gestured, and 2 men dragged Hannah forward, duct tape over her mouth, terror in her eyes. Lily's heart shattered and hardened in the same instant. "Let her go. You have me. I'm afraid it's not that simple." Marcus circled her like a shark. "You see, you were never supposed to notice the poison. You were supposed to let Ethan drink it. Then in the chaos, I would have stepped in, taken control, saved the company. You tried to kill your own partner."
Partner?
Marcus laughed bitterly. "I built that company with him. I bled for it. And he took all the credit. All the power. I was tired of being the shadow, so you used a desperate father. You're using my sister. You're a coward." His hand cracked across her face, snapping her head to the side. "Careful, Miss Anderson. Your bravery is admirable, but it won't save you." Through the ringing in her ears, Lily heard Ethan's voice in her earpiece. "Hold on, we're moving in." Marcus heard it too. He ripped the wire from her collar, his eyes wild. "He's here." Gunfire erupted. Hannah screamed behind the tape. Lily threw herself toward her sister as chaos exploded around them. Ethan appeared like vengeance incarnate, his security team flooding the pier. Marcus grabbed Lily, pressing a gun to her temple. One more step, and she dies. Ethan froze, his weapon aimed at Marcus, his face a mask of cold fury. "Let her go, Marcus. This is between us." "No. This is about power, and she's my way out." Lily met Ethan's eyes across the distance. In that moment, she understood everything. His walls, his isolation, his fear of letting anyone close, because everyone he trusted eventually betrayed him. "I'm sorry," Marcus whispered in her ear, "but you chose the wrong side." His finger tightened on the trigger. A shot rang out, but it wasn't Marcus who fired. It was Sophia, emerging from behind a container, her aim perfect. Marcus crumpled, the gun falling from his hand. Lily collapsed to her knees, gasping. Ethan was there in seconds, pulling her against his chest. "I've got you. I've got you." Hannah sobbed as security freed her, and the sisters clung to each other in the aftermath. But as Lily looked up at Ethan, she saw something in his eyes that chilled her. Not relief, fear, later in the safety of his penthouse. After Hannah was asleep in a guest room and the adrenaline had faded, Ethan poured 2 drinks. "You should have told me Marcus was your partner," Lily said quietly. "I didn't want to believe it. I've known him for 15 years. People we trust hurt us the most." He handed her a glass, his expression haunted. "There's something you need to know about why Marcus really wanted you dead." Lily's stomach twisted. "What are you talking about?" Ethan pulled out a file, placing it on the table between them. Inside was a photo. A young woman? She looked eerily like Lily. Her name was Sarah Anderson. "Your mother's sister?" Your Aunt Lily's breath stopped. 15 years ago, she worked for Cross Dynamics. She discovered Marcus was embezzling funds. Before she could expose him, she died in a car accident. Everyone called it tragic, but I always suspected. His eyes met hers, filled with terrible truth. "You look just like her, Lily. The moment you walked into that restaurant, Marcus knew. He saw a ghost, and he couldn't risk you remembering something your family might have told you." Lily's world tilted. "My mother never mentioned a sister. Maybe she was protecting you. Maybe she didn't know the truth, and you?" Lily's voice shook. "When did you realize who I was?" Ethan's silence was answer enough. "You knew? From the beginning. That's why you kept me here." "I kept you here because you saved my life." "No, you kept me here because I'm connected to your past." "To your guilt." She stood, backing away. "Was any of it real? The kiss? The protection? Or am I just another piece in your game?" "Lily, please, answer me." His composure cracked. "I didn't know at first. But when I saw your file, when I saw your mother's maiden name, I realized. And yes, I kept you close, because I owed your aunt a debt I could never repay. But what happened between us is real." Tears burned her eyes. "I don't know what's real anymore." She turned to leave, but his voice stopped her. "I loved her, your aunt. Not romantically. But she was my friend. And I let her die because I was too blind to see the danger." Lily looked back at him, seeing a man drowning in 15 years of guilt. "Don't make the same mistake twice," she whispered. Dawn broke over Chicago in shades of gold and gray. Lily stood on the terrace, wrapped in a blanket, watching the city wake. She hadn't slept. Behind her, the penthouse was silent. Hannah was still sleeping, exhausted from the ordeal. Ethan was somewhere in his study, probably drowning in work to avoid confronting what had been said. The truth sat between them like broken glass. Footsteps approached. She didn't turn around. "I found more files," Ethan said quietly. "About your aunt? About what really happened. I don't want to hear it." "You need to." She finally looked at him. He looked wrecked, his shirt wrinkled, shadows under his eyes. "Sarah wasn't just investigating Marcus. She was investigating me too." Lily's breath caught. "She found evidence that I knew about the embezzlement and did nothing." Because Marcus was my friend. Because I wanted to believe he'd stop. His voice cracked. She was going to expose both of us. And I was angry. I told her to leave. To forget what she'd found. We fought, and then she died. The police said brake failure. Tragic accident. But I knew. I knew Marcus had silenced her. And I did nothing because I was a coward. Lily turned away, her hands gripping the railing. You let him get away with murder. Yes, and you built an empire on top of her grave. Every day for 15 years, I've tried to be worthy of the second chance I didn't deserve. I exposed Marcus's new schemes. I rebuilt the company with integrity. But it was never enough, because she was still gone. His voice broke on the last word. Lily closed her eyes, feeling the weight of generations of secrets and pain. Why didn't you tell me the moment you realized? Because I was selfish. Because having you near felt like redemption. And because somewhere between protecting you and falling for you, I forgot the difference. She turned to face him, tears streaming down her face. I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't expect you to. But I understand why you couldn't let me go. He took a shaky breath. What happens now? Now, Lily wiped her eyes. Now you do what you should have done 15 years ago. You tell the truth, all of it. To the authorities, to the media, you expose what Marcus did, and you face whatever consequences come. I could lose everything. You've already lost everything that matters. The words landed like a blow. If I do this, he said slowly, they'll investigate. They'll find evidence that I knew. I'll go to prison. Maybe that's what you deserve. His laugh was hollow. You're right, but there's a problem. What? Marcus had partners. Other people in the company who helped him. People with power and resources. If I expose everything, they'll come after you. After Hannah, I kept silent to protect myself. But now I'm keeping silent to protect you. Lily's stomach twisted. So we're trapped, unless there's another way. Sophia appeared in the doorway holding a tablet. There is, but it's dangerous. She showed them the screen. Financial records. Encrypted files. Communication logs. I've been digging since Marcus died. He kept backups. Insurance. Everything he did. Everyone he worked with. It's all here. If we release it, the entire network goes down. But they'll know it came from us. They'll retaliate, Ethan said. They'll have no choice but to run. The evidence is overwhelming. Lily looked between them. What's the cost? Sophia met her eyes. Witness protection. New identities. You, Hannah, Ethan, you disappear completely, forever. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. I can't ask you to give up your life, Ethan said to Lily. You're not asking. I'm choosing. She squared her shoulders. Hannah and I have spent our whole lives barely surviving, always one crisis away from collapse. Maybe it's time we had a chance to actually live. You'd be giving up everything you know. You'd be gaining everything that matters. She stepped closer, taking his hand. My aunt tried to do the right thing alone, and it killed her. I'm not making that mistake. We do this together. Ethan's fingers tightened around hers, his eyes searching her face. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're getting me anyway. The kiss was different this time. Not desperate or stolen, but deliberate. A promise sealed in the breaking dawn. When they broke apart, Sophia was already on her phone. I'll coordinate with the FBI. We'll need to move fast. Once the files go public, you have maybe 6 hours before the networks mobilize. The next 48 hours were a blur. Federal agents arriving in unmarked cars. Evidence transferred. Testimonies recorded. Hannah learning the truth, crying, raging, and finally accepting. On the third morning, they stood in a nondescript office, signing papers that would erase their existence. Lily Anderson would become Emma Clark. Hannah Anderson would become Sophie Clark. Ethan Cross would become James Mitchell. The life they'd known would cease to exist. That night, the story broke. Every major network ran it. The corruption network within Cross Dynamics. The murder of Sarah Anderson 15 years ago. Marcus Reed's conspiracy. Ethan Cross's complicity and his ultimate cooperation in bringing down the rest. The billionaire who had everything became the whistleblower who lost it all. By morning, they were on a plane to a small town in Oregon, a place where no one knew their faces, where they could start over. Lily, now Emma, stared out the window as Chicago disappeared beneath clouds. "Do you regret it?" Hannah, now Sophie, asked beside her. "No, do you?" Sophie thought for a moment. "I regret that it took almost dying for us to escape. But I don't regret where we're going." Across the aisle, Ethan, now James, sat with his eyes closed. He looked younger somehow, lighter, as if shedding his identity had freed something long buried. When he opened his eyes, he found Lily watching. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "That I saved your life with a whisper. And you saved mine by letting everything else go." He reached across the aisle, his fingers finding hers. "I'd do it again. 1,000 times." The plane climbed higher, carrying them toward an unknown future. But for the first time in longer than any of them could remember, it felt like hope. 6 months later, the coastal town of Brookhaven, Oregon smelled like pine and salt water. The main street consisted of a diner, a bookstore, a hardware shop, and not much else. It was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, which made anonymity both easier and harder. Emma Clark worked at the bookstore now. She liked the quiet rhythm of shelving novels and recommending mysteries to tourists. Her hands no longer shook when she poured coffee. She slept through the night. James Mitchell worked construction. His hands, once accustomed to signing billion-dollar deals, now built decks and fixed roofs. The physical labor grounded him in ways boardrooms never had. Sophie attended community college, studying marine biology. She smiled more, laughed easier. They shared a small house 3 blocks from the ocean. It had creaky floors and drafty windows and a porch swing that groaned when you sat on it. It was perfect. On a Tuesday evening, Emma found James on the beach, watching the sunset paint the water in shades of amber and rose. She sat beside him, their shoulders touching. "Do you miss it?" she asked. "The power. The empire." He was quiet for a long moment. "I miss who I thought I was. But I don't miss the man I actually was. And who are you now?" He turned to look at her, his storm gray eyes softened by 6 months of peace. "I'm someone who gets a second chance." Because of a whisper, she leaned her head against his shoulder. "The FBI called today," she said quietly. "The trial starts next month. They want us to testify." His body tensed. "Do we have to?" "No, our statements are enough. But I want to. I want to look them in the eye and watch them answer for what they did to my aunt. To that waiter's daughter, to everyone they used, then we'll go. Together." The word "together" had become their anchor, their promise. That night, Sophie made dinner, burning the garlic bread and laughing about it. They ate on the porch, watching fireflies dance in the twilight. "I got accepted to the Marine Research Program," Sophie announced, her eyes bright. "Full scholarship. They want me to study orca migration patterns." Emma's heart swelled. "Sophie, that's incredible. It means I'll be gone for weeks at a time, on boats. In the field, you'll be living your dream." Sophie's smile wavered. "Are you sure you'll be okay?" "After everything we went through to stay together." Emma reached across the table, squeezing her sister's hand. "I'm sure. We didn't survive all of that just to hold each other back. We survived so we could finally live." Later, after Sophie went to bed, Emma and James walked along the shore. The moon hung low and full, turning the waves silver. "I need to tell you something," James said. Emma's heart skipped. "What? The house?" "This one we're renting. I bought it. Before we left Chicago, I liquidated a few hidden accounts Marcus didn't know about. Enough to buy this place outright. It's in your name. Yours and Sophie's. So you'll always have somewhere safe." She stopped walking, staring at him. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I needed you to choose this life for the right reasons. Not because of money or security, but because you wanted to be here. With me." Tears pricked her eyes. "You're an idiot, I know. Beautiful, self-sacrificing idiot." She kissed him, tasting salt and promise. When they broke apart, he pulled a small box from his pocket. I know we're supposed to be invisible. I know we can't have a big wedding or announce it to the world. But Emma Clark, or Lily Anderson, or whoever you want to be, will you marry me? The ring inside was simple. A single stone that caught the moonlight. Yes, she whispered. 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring onto her finger, and she thought about the journey that had brought them here. The poisoned glass. The whispered warning, the betrayal and the sacrifice, and the choice to burn everything down for the chance to build something real. They were married 3 weeks later in the backyard of their creaky house. Sophie officiated, having gotten ordained online. The only guests were the elderly couple next door and a seagull that stole half the cake. It was perfect. The trial came and went. They testified via video link, their identities protected. The guilty verdicts came down like hammers. Justice delayed but delivered. 1 year after the whisper that changed everything, Emma stood in the bookstore during a slow afternoon, organizing the new arrivals. The bell above the door chimed. A woman walked in, stylish and polished, clearly a tourist. "Excuse me," the woman said. "I'm looking for something specific. A story about second chances." Emma smiled. "I know just the thing." As she led the woman to the fiction section, she caught sight of James through the window. He was carrying lumber, his shirt dusty, his face tanned. He looked up, as if sensing her gaze, and smiled. That night, they sat on the porch swing, wrapped in blankets, watching the stars. "Do you think we'll ever stop looking over our shoulders?" Emma asked. "Maybe, maybe not. But I'd rather spend my life looking over my shoulder with you than spend it safe and alone." Ah! She curled closer. "I never thanked you." "For what?" "For being worth saving." His laugh was soft and real. "I was going to say the same thing to you." The swing creaked beneath them, a comfortable rhythm. Somewhere in the distance, a foghorn called across the water. The wind carried the scent of the ocean and fresh rain. They had lost everything they thought mattered, and found everything they didn't know they needed. A whisper in a crowded restaurant had saved a life, but the choice to build a new one together had saved them both. In the quiet dark of a small Oregon town, far from billionaires and poisoned wine and the weight of secrets, two souls found redemption in each other's arms. The past would always be there, a shadow at the edge of their vision, but the future stretched before them, wide and unwritten. And for the first time in either of their lives, that was enough. The end.